Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have Final Supreme Darkness reveals. This is really cool. This is the TCG version of the set, so keep that in mind. I think we have a couple of OCG imports. Most of them, I think, are just V-Jump promos or some promo of some sort coming to the TCG. And then the rest are TCG exclusives. So just a couple of random TCG exclusive cards. We do like to keep an eye out on these because sometimes these cards do end up being like, oh, that's like a little hidden gem, and it could find a home in like a legit competitive deck down the line kind of thing. So I think there's one card here that I got a chance to read through that I did think fits into that category. We'll save that one for the end. But let's get into it. Let's talk about how we finished the set with. So starting off here, let's start with the promos. We start with Detonating Karibo. This card's solid. I mean, like, it's not the craziest thing on the world, but like, it is an extender, a simple Karibo extender, and it's like a simple kind of like imperm-esque negate. So it's cool. It's a solid little card, but it's for Karibo, so it's that. There's Otonari Thunder. This card's also really cool. He almost just straight up looks like the Hunder family archetype, but he doesn't have their shared name like theme, so that's weird. But my only gripe with this card is he does require 2 Thunders to special summon from hand. Otherwise, he could have potentially been a Colossus setup card, but he requires 2 Thunders on field. It's just asking a little bit too much as an extender, you know what I mean? So there's that. We have Performapal Sky Magician. This is another one, like, interesting card, but they just made her 5, and maybe that works better for Performapal, but they also released this card at a similar timeline to Magistus last year, so I almost thought this was supposed to be more Magistus support, but the fact that it's not level 4 is just kind of awkward, because you can't make your rank 4s or your Synchro 8s, so weird, but like actually not a bad card otherwise. And then Chorozo, this one I think has the most meta implication. I don't know exactly where it is or if it'll even be, not necessarily like yet, but this is the kind of card that you read and you're like, this is going to give decks that don't have Synchro Boss Monster access, Synchro Boss Monster access. So we'll keep an eye on it. You would have thought Snake Eye would make use of it, but of course Snake Eye got axed on the last ban list, so it is hard to envision exactly where this card could come in handy, but I do think it's something like Magistus, maybe even Centurion, stuff like that, stuff that just puts monsters in their spell and trap zone, really do have the potential to make use of this card, but still cool to see. And so that way we can start planning for it in the future. As far as the TCG exclusives go, that's it. 4 OCG imports. We already read Dark Necromancer. He's a nice like zombie or fiend ritual support card. Not terrible. This is a new one, Valkyrion, the Rotting Phoenix. This is a dark zombie tuner. Tuner's interesting. 1600 attack, level 4. If you control a zombie, you can special summon this from the hand. Nice. Zombies don't have enough extenders that just say, I'm jumping out of the hand. A lot of their stuff is graveyard-based, which makes them very bricky because they just open too many cards that need to be in grave. So this card helps with that. During your main phase, you can return this card from the field to the hand. Then you can special summon 1 zombie from the hand. So that's kind of cool. This card does just help getting, zombies out of the hand as well as itself. So that's cool. And it's a tuner, so it could help you get into some of the zombie synchro stuff that came out last year, the year before. Can't remember exactly when, but semi-recently. We already read this card as well. This is like another zombie support card. That one was previously gone over. Shadow Severing Strike is a new card. It's a new continuous spell. If this card is banished, or if a card is banished from hand or field to activate a monster effect, you can apply one of the following effects based on one of the card types banished. If a monster is banished, you can negate the effects of 1 face-up spell or trap card on the field to the end of the turn. If a spell is banished, draw 2 cards. It's the best case scenario. Or if a trap is banished, you can banish 1 monster on the field. And then if this card is banished to activate a monster effect, you can add 1 of your banished cards back to your hand. This card is just, it's dependent on everything else you're doing. Not to mention it's specifically, it's not if any card is banished. It is if a card is banished specifically from hand or field, not graveyard, which is common as well, to activate a monster effect. Okay, it is not just if a card is banished. It has to be banished as cost to activate a monster effect, and it has to be banished from hand or field. It's just too specific. I know there are probably some decks that can facilitate this, but this card does nothing on its own, and unless there's a deck that like is pretty consistently banishing a spell from hand or field as cost for a monster effect, I'm not sure this card is going to have much utility there, but it's fun. DD Post, new trap card, Continuous Trap. Monsters you control gain 3 in attack for each monster card type. Monster spell a trap among your banished cards. Okay. Once per turn during the main phase. Whoa. My bad. Once per turn during the main phase, you can banish 1 card from your hand or graveyard. Then you can shuffle 1 of your banished cards into the deck. And if this card is banished, you can place it face up on your field. Again, like more banish synergy here. It does get you a banish from hand or grave, which is nice. I like that I can get a quick banish from grave, but again, like it requires all this setup, and what it actually does is not even that strong anyway. So it's a meh for me. New version of Beast of Talwar. I do like this. They keep doing this with TCG exclusives, is giving us like a new modern form of old vanilla monsters. I remember Beast of Talwar used to be really cool. They're not that competitively viable normally, but like they're cool. Level 7 Dark Fiend, 24, 2150. If this card is always treated as an Archfiend card. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from the hand. I mean, that's already not terrible. Level 7. I mean, he's just a Cashier monster with the first effect, right? The first time this card to be destroyed by an opponent's card effect each turn, it's not, sure, decent little protection, and neither player can target other monsters with equip spell cards or effects. Specific anti-equip spell hate, I guess, is what we're looking at here. Okay, I mean, like, yeah, this is fine. This is just like a bad Cashier monster, basically. It's fine, sure. I think in those minimized formats where you just like crack open a set and you have to build a deck out of the cards you pick, this seems like one of the best cards you could probably get in the set, I think. Just a 2400 free beater that gives you annoying protection. It's pretty decent. Ripplebird. I love this card's design. Rank 1. When I saw this, I was like, ooh, rank 1. I'm a big Mimighoul guy. You guys know that. So I was like, okay, new rank 1s definitely get spicy with Mimighoul. Let's see what it does. He's a Wing Beast, of course. 1000 attack, 0 defense. 2 level 1 monsters. Love that. Nice and generic. You can detach raw material from this card, then target a monster on the field. Change its battle position. While all monsters you control are in attack position, they gain 500 attack. While all monsters you control are in defense position, your opponent cannot declare an attack. Not much going on here, to be honest. I think the most interesting thing is that if Embodiment of Crime or Embodiment of Punishment didn't exist, this card actually could maybe have a home in Mimighoul, because if you give your opponent a set face down defense position Mimighoul, you could still use this card to flip it up, right? Because you're going to force it into attack, and you can't be in face down attack. So if something was set, they would be forced face up. So then you could, trigger a slime, trigger a Archfiend, trigger a dragon, any of that stuff, which is cool. But unfortunately, we do have Embodiment of Crime and Punishment, which means it's this, but way better, because those cards are also quick effects. So yeah, it doesn't do enough new stuff for me. It's not the worst card in the world, but I don't think its utility is good enough. Then we have a trap called the Toil of the Normal. This is a normal trap. You can apply these effects in sequence based on the number of normal monsters with different names in your graveyard. Skip over any that do not apply. This is cool. Just because like Primite's just gotten a little better. You know what I mean? With the Primite engine kind of like lurking around in Yu-Gi-Oh, like this card is a little bit more relevant. If there's 1 or more vanillas engraved, this turn normal monsters gain 800 attack. If there are 2 or more, you can negate the effects of an effect monster on field. So if all you have is 2, you already have an imperm and a buff. 3 or more, this turn normal monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Sure, a little bit of protection. 4, shuffle an effect monster on the field into the deck. Love that. And then 5, add 1 Toil of the Normal from your deck to your hand. So just add another copy of this, and assuming you even had 5, you would still have 5 by the time you get the second one, which means you would then get to basically resolve all these effects again. So it's a fun card, but these like normal cards, these guys that are based off of those old little stinky vanillas like Gigabyte and all these guys, and Moki, like it's not good, but they're fun. I love it. And this is the really interesting guy to me. This is the one guy to me that stands out for sure from the TCG exclusives. This is Minimalian. Minimalian? I don't know. He's a water psychic level 4 monster. 100 attack, 100 defense. Here's how he works. You can banish 1 other card from your hand as cost. So this actually does sort of work for that spell that says if something's banished as cost, but whatever. Special summon this card from your hand. Nice and simple. It does take a card from your hand. but it's pretty easy, and it is going to be achievable at almost any time as long as you have a hand. You can banish one face-up level 4 or lower monster you control, again, as a cost, to special summon one monster from your deck with the same original type and attribute that the monster had on the field, but 1 or 2 levels lower than its original level. Okay, so what I like about this second effect specifically is that second effect doesn't say you have to like banish one other monster. It just says any level 4 lord. That includes himself. So what I like about him is he actually is a starter for very specific strategies. Now you do have to find a strategy that has cards you want to pull out of the deck that are water, psychic, level 2 or level 3, but there are actually 2 pretty interesting archetypes that actually do fulfill that condition like pretty cleanly. So the first one here is Super Quantum. This is actually the E-Telly is a really nice card for their deck because you just E-Telly this card out of the deck and then this card on summon just adds a Super Quant. So that's really solid. And then even when it's sent to the graveyard, it also gives you bonus value later to get you like just reset some of your resources. But that's a good card, right? This essentially is like 3 more copies of E-Telly if you didn't already open E-Telly to just get Blue Layer into rotation to go ahead and start getting your plays going. So I like that. The other one is Mutant, who actually has 2 different targets, and the targets could not be better. Like these are phenomenal, right? Because ST46 on summon adds a Mutant Spell or Trap. STM05 adds a Mutant Monster when it's summoned. So you have access to searching monsters and spells and traps, and you have 2 different targets, so whichever one you actually already opened, or if you opened E-Telly with it, this card feels like it could be redundant with E-Telly, but in this deck, if you have E-Telly, you could just, you know what I mean, use E-Telly to get one, use Minimalian to get the other, and go from there, which is really cool. So, do I think this card's crazy? Not necessarily, but I do think it actually has one particular potential for those archetypes. The only other archetype I would really look at with this card is probably like something like Thunder Dragon or Malice, just a deck that pluses when their monsters are banished. That's the only other thing I could see this card pairing well with, right? Being able to like banish a White Rabbit to special summon this card. White Rabbit triggers to summon itself and get you a trap. Then you can start playing from there. If you need to, you could even bonus like banish a Malice monster from field to summon a level 1 or a level 2 Dark Cybers, which they do exist. There actually are some okay targets. That even gives you potentially the ability to access something like Nightmare Corruptor Ibly, which in certain formats could be nasty. So just some interesting things. Other than those like 4 decks as examples, I don't know exactly where else this would work because it wouldn't be like a full-on starter on its own. That's why I like the specifically Quantums and Mutants, just because it is a full-on starter for those decks. Otherwise, it is just a cool card, and it's. I know Psychic Waters are kind of like okay, like what uses that, but like we say that until like next set when Konami releases their next best archetype and it has water psychic monsters in it. You're like, oh, this card's nasty, awesome, love to see it. And go from there. So, cool to see. Cool stuff. We finally have the set fully finished. I'll probably make a video just going over everything in the set that I think is like relevant competitively. So stay tuned for that. I'll bring that to you soon. But let me know your thoughts on these cards down below. Is there anything that has extra synergy with something that I didn't mention in this video? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that down below, or just your overall thoughts on Supreme Darkness. So I'm out of here for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more news videos like this one from me down the line. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.